In 1980, China, worried about overpopulation and billions of mouths to feed, implemented a one-child policy, an initiative that required parents to only have one child. This policy was abolished in 2015 though, with unfortunate consequences. But when we move to the west of China, Africa is now going through a population boom. It is projected that there will be over 2 billion people on the continent by 2050. In fear of the continent not being adequate to deal with the overpopulation, Africa may have to impose its own version of population control. So with this we ask, what would happen if the continent adopted a one-child policy? What would its effects be? And would it even work? That is what we'll discuss today on Africa Assemble. By the way, be a friend and subscribe. Click the notification button to never miss our videos and like this video to help us make more content you love about our amazing continent. Let's dive in. So to explore this, we have to see the results of China's implementation of the one-child policy. On the positive side, it prevented a population growth of 500 million people and was part of what turned China into a superpower. However, on the negative side, it affected the concept of family, as in 2050 many people would not have brothers or sisters, aunties and uncles. They would also bear the sole responsibility of taking care of their parents. Additionally, women ended up altering their roles as they had to compete more aggressively to be economically capable of taking care of their parents. China ended up having 30 million more men than women, leaving many men without women to marry. This is only a snippet of the issues. Africa has the highest fertility rate on earth, doubling that of Asia, which comes second. Then you have Niger with the highest fertility rate on the continent. Places like Nigeria are projected to have a bigger population than America in the next 30 years. So there are some people who fear that if Africa does not improve economically in the near future, overpopulation may be a problem for many African countries. So in a scenario in which Africa would adopt the one-child policy, it would first of all take years to establish. The countries proposing the initiative would have a tough time convincing smaller countries to join in. It may even be more difficult for these countries to convince their own people of the law. As there are cultural and in some cases religious ideals that will be ruffled, the law may not go down without a fight. This will require the countries to promote contraceptives for women, champion family planning, disclose a projection of progress in the years to come, and draw examples of other nations, as this would not be a permanent policy. But let's say the hurdle is eventually crossed and the plan is implemented. What would the results look like? Well, sadly, there will be more problems created even though the objective may be acquired. Close to 100 million births would have been prevented, but the concept would affect the family structure and culture. As there will be one child per household, the responsibility of being successful and taking care of their parents will be placed on that one child. Imagine parents losing their child earlier in their lives. Would the parents be motivated to build their family again? Would parents like the idea of losing their only child to wars if enrolled in the military? A family tree typically grows into a triangle, but with the one-child policy, the triangle will be flipped onto its head. Then there's the issue of having a girl. The loss of a family name would not appeal to parents of a woman when she gets married. In some cultures in which having a boy is paramount, this may create issues between parents. Women would drift from traditional roles as they may have to compete with other people for education and career opportunities while having only one child to take care of as opposed to 3. Furthermore, it would be lonely as an only child with no siblings, aunties and uncles, which could have a negative effect on communication and miss out on the concept of having a sibling. If this happened, there would be constant protests, and it's not a stretch to imagine children being born out of the supervision of the government, subjecting them to being invisible to society, therefore preventing them from free education and healthcare. It may also increase abortion across the continent if a family would have a preference on the sex of the infant. The number of mothers relocating to other continents to have more children would also increase. As this policy would be hard to enforce on the continent with the different governments, it will not be long until it gains international criticism, pressuring some countries to abolish the policy altogether. An argument against a one-child policy would be the already high population of the youth in Africa. With an average age of 19, the workforce of Africa is large, and with careful planning, this supported workforce could turn Africa into a productive and economically sound continent. However, the children coming from this generation will still balloon in the future. Let's just hope our continent will sustain the posterity. So what do you think? Would a one-child policy work on the African continent? Is it a violation of choice, or can Africa handle overpopulation? Our video on Africa being a single country sparked a debate, and if you want to see that, click here, or click on what YouTube is suggesting from our video library. Do not forget to subscribe and like the video to help us. Comment below to discuss or request a video. Okay, bye now.